It's a great day. My name is Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the #1 business development and revenue-focused late-night show in the country where we are on a mission. And our mission really is to empower. Our mission is to inspire. And our mission is to provide you, that's right, you, the hard-working entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this episode, we have the one and only Rosa Grillo. Yes, she's in the building. And she'll be talking about social entrepreneurship and also understanding who you are. What's going on, Rosa? How are you?
I am blessed and joyful. I'm so happy to be with you today.
Well, it's an honor and a privilege, a treat and a treasure to be here with you. By the way, for those that don't know, she gave me my first opportunity. She's a brilliant entrepreneur, and what an honor so many years later to be sitting on this side. I never thought so. It's an honor. Folks looking at it and saying, wow, Shay, we're talking about entrepreneurship. I guess the first question I have was got to be on their mind is, why are entrepreneurs struggling these days to have a profitable business? They've got everything they need to succeed. They've got Instagram. They can go look at something right away. They've got AI. They can give them all the answers, all the plans they want. They can get motivated just looking at YouTube. They don't have to watch TV anymore. So from your perspective, with many years of experience, what's holding entrepreneurs back from being successful these days?
What's holding them back is themselves. Trust in themselves, their ability to do that, to understand that we were brought here to do great things. We were brought on this planet to do great things. And that we have an idea that we believe is going to succeed and it's going to help people. That's the most important thing, that it can work if we learn to look inside and find out what we need to do to be successful,
You said to be successful. Success means different things to different people. Before we get in looking at the person, what does success even look like these days for you?
Success for me looks like permanent change for the better in a community. That if I'm not doing something that makes the world better, it doesn't make sense to me. And I believe that many who are profitable at first lose that profitability when they're not doing things that are heart-centered and really care about community. Years ago, we talked about corporate social responsibility, like you had to do if you were making money in the community. No, you have to do because you're part of this community, that we're real and that we have to give and we have to give back because we've all been blessed. If we were at the point where we can think about doing our own thing, we're blessed. We're blessed. We got it. We can do it.
For a number of folks that are watching right now, they might be like, well, wait a minute. I think she's talking about working on the inner self first. And it's kind of save yourself first before you save everyone else. I'll say it like that. What do you say to the person out there that's like, man, I'm trying to even understand my own purpose these days. I'm trying to understand who I am these days. I know it's a loaded question, Rose. It's a very loaded question. But would you say that person is kind of leaning forward and saying, I'm just not sure who I am anymore?
So we often work for the dollar. Yeah, because we have bills to pay. We need to feed. We need to feed our families. We need to do those things, but we find out at a point that doesn't fulfill us. That's because we're not fulfilling a place in this community, in this society. So what I do is help people do that. I do that coaching with them to help to find out what it is that is in their DNA to make them succeed and have them learn to utilize that. And we do that in different ways. My work is very spirit based. I believe that our ancestors brought us here for a reason, and we stand on their shoulders, and we have their guidance to help us as we move through these steps, trying to work out everything, whether it's in business, whether it's in our life, whether it's how to raise our children, whether we buy this home, whatever we do. That's some of the things that get in our way, just because we don't take the time to look at ourselves and listen to the guidance that we were brought on this earth with.
As you were talking, what's really amazing is a number of folks, by the way, they're meeting you for the very first time. They're like, well, Shay, I like what she's saying. I like this give back. I like this whole part that we have a responsibility to help others, but I have no idea who she is, Shay. I didn't get a chance to read her resume. I've not been to her website. Slow down for a moment. Give Rosa opportunity to talk about who is Rosa. You probably know the question, who are you these days? And then what's that backstory that led you to doing what you're doing now, which you seem to be having a lot of fun?
I'm having fun because I'm finally doing what I'm supposed to be doing at this point in my life, at this juncture. I started my business in PR and marketing. Just because that's what I love to take pictures, I started to do that. I started to write for organizations and promote organizations, especially diverse organizations, to help those of us of African descent move forward. I got corporate contracts that helped them reach our special communities. I'm Afro-Cuban, so being an Afro-Latina has marked a lot of how I am and how I interact in the world. I've worked recently with the Smithsonian to make sure that folks of African descent are represented in the American Latino Museum. Those issues of diversity are important. At a point in my career, really had to make difference what kind of clients I was getting and what they were actually asking me to promote. And if they were empty, I didn't want to do it. But if they were going to make a difference in a community, then I would go about it and say, yeah, let's do that. If we were going to make people get out of poverty, if we were going to help people do whatever they needed to do, I felt that it was my mandate, that my heart was in trying to make people do better. So in amplifying their own story or amplifying the importance of a business, we had to get to the heart of the business to get that out to the people. And then I found that, you and I worked together in team building with clients, where we went in and we really encouraged the folks to look inside, those that had to work with clients to make a difference. So that's what I do on a full-time basis now. I'm a coach. I'm a spiritual intuitive coach, and I help people get to who they are, what it is they want to do, and whether it's relationship based or family based, but most importantly, business based. How are we going to build this business like a true social entrepreneur and leave a lasting legacy as we move on? I
I
hope
love the
that
whole
explains.
that explains. I love the whole social entrepreneurship part. And we're going to get into in a moment what's maybe 3 things that you'd recommend to any business owner that they could do. As a business owner, they can do with their money, they can do with their time. But before I do that, there's a number of folks that are watching might be wondering, wow, Rosa's been able to do a whole lot, Shay. Ask her, how is she able to make sure that she takes care of herself when she's so busy taking care of everyone else? Let me frame it for you. A number of folks who are watching right now, they're dualpreneurs. They work a full-time job. They're a full-time entrepreneur. Some of them are moms, some are dads, some of them are caregivers. Like I'm a caregiver these days. Some of them, by the way, have kids, and their kids have schedules, and they're involved in the community. And there's somebody right now saying, Shay, you didn't get to the whole list. I got more things on my list. So the question really for Rosa really is, wow, how does Rosa make sure that she takes care of herself when so many other people are dependent on her, so she don't let herself down and let herself not be at a place she needs to be at without feeling guilty? I know that's kind of
The
loaded. Without
difference for
feeling
me
guilty.
is that I have gone through a lot of those phases. I've been a single mom. I've been the sandwich generation where you're taking care of aging parents at the same time that you're trying to raise a child. I kept my child in private school the whole time, did it all, ran a business. At a time I was working in government. I did it all, and I've gone through a lot of those phases, and it's all of those phases that now nourish me, inform me as I talk to people that are going through so many different kinds of transitions. What is it that I need to suggest? How do I get to take care of me? Am I really living in my purpose and who I'm supposed to be? And yeah, you can do that while you do that all other kind of juggling, because the time that we spend together, we're just taking care of you. And then we talk about how we work that through, so that you can handle everybody else that you need to. I love to work with folks who are considering career change or having issues on the job, because having done all of that and run businesses, and then I use my spiritual tools, we find out what the issue is, where they are, and what's going to feed them, and what they really want to go, and map out a plan to move forward. It's coaching through career changes, life changes, whatever we need to do. But the business changes I really love to see. You remember, Che, you and I we were doing team building together.
Yeah, I remember.
Team building, when we were working with teams, it's the same process, and who you bring into your life and who you don't let in your life, and how you move things around, and how you put together your own regimen and your own diet of what you need to be successful. And as they say when you get on the airplane, mask on yourself first. Let's take care of me first.
Take care of yourself first. Talk about mindset for a moment. One of the things I admire about you is your mindset and being intuitive to who you are right now. Two-part question. Number one, how are you able to move forward in the face of fear? One of the things you talk about, a lot of things you did, you were taking action, and the road wasn't paved. You didn't know what was going to happen, but yet you still took action, even if you was a little afraid. And number two, how does mindset really apply to all this that you're talking about, this whole spiritual connection and the whole inner you?
Okay, so let's talk about business, using it in business. Right now, we are working we have these ideas, but now there are so many tools, so many helpers around that will help us to do that. And in this digital age we're in, everything that's digital, we're able to find the help at a relatively lower cost. There was a time that you had to have $20,000 to hire this consultant to do this and that and the other. Well, it doesn't have to happen that way. Marketing doesn't have to happen that way. Social media does a lot. There's a lot of innovation. It's one of my favorite words, because we innovate all the time to make things work. There are ways to do that. I don't have to sit and stew over one piece of this and not move forward with my ideas because I'm trying to work the mechanics. There is a way to do that, and there is a whole network globally that helps you reach globally, much more simply than when we used to do it some time ago. So,
wow.
To answer your question, I don't know how is answered real quickly. You just put that question out and you say, I don't know how, I need to do this. And it's amazing the kind of response you get.
Well, you were spot on in answering the question. You were right there. And it led us to another question that I think is very important, which is around change. And, your ability over the years to be able to not only innovate, but to go with change and not be resistant to it when many companies go out of business or some folks get stuck in a time warp. How are you able to handle changes and embrace change when it's, again, to many, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to change anything. I've got something that works. And yet they find themselves going out of business. So the question is embracing change. How are you able to do that so successfully?
You have to either adjust to the new environment or retire that particular idea and come up with another and trust the next one. Yeah. With that, I didn't realize that transitions would continue for so many different steps in our lives. Some of the most meaningful coaching that I have done has been with folks who have lost a spouse, not knowing what their life is going to look like now. But every day that we wake up, we have an opportunity for more living. And there's a plan for us to do it. So change is constant. Change moves on. We stay on that moving sidewalk that's in the airport. It's always moving. We just have to breathe, and deep breathing and mindfulness helps us get to it. Not fear, because when you get fearful, What do? You tense up. Nothing's flowing. You don't get anything working. But sometimes you need some help, somebody who's going to help you talk it through and work it through.
You know, as you were talking, I think it leads us to a segment we have here at the Happy Entrepreneur Show. And next segment is called Today is My January 1st. Now, for those folks who tune in every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I know you wait for this magical moment to be able to say those words. Today is my January 1st. Happy New Year to you. And for all the other folks who are tuning in for the very first time, I want to welcome you to the Happy Entrepreneur Show family. Today is my January 1st represents our personal mantra. It represents a fresh start. It represents a do-over. It means our past, no matter how dark and gloomy that past is or how bright and sunny the past is, the past no longer equals the future. So the question I have for Rosa on the other side is really two parts. Number one, when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, obviously, what do you hear? And number two, when was a moment in your life, and maybe life's been perfect, where there was a setback, there was a challenge, and then how were you able to bounce back from it?
Oh, there's been several setbacks. That's why I'm a smarter woman now than I was. Oh, God, we could talk about setbacks. One day I had a client that I had it was a six-figure client. We had just gone through a review. I said, "Are you happy with this work that I'm doing?" You know, I was their external relations consultant. We did major work in healthcare and related. And I called and I said, "Can we schedule a meeting? I want to review. Are you happy with what we're doing?" "Yes, keep it going." This was November, January, the 1st of January. They said, "We think we're going to go in another direction." That was the backbone of my business. That one six-figure client was the backbone that paid some salaries, that helped me do a whole lot of things. What I did was pull my team together and say, "Okay, how are we going to rework this? Do we want to stay in this arena?" While I had them, I got the good word of them, you know, because they said it wasn't my issue. They decided that they wanted to go, all right? And then I had to figure out how I was going to pay my kids' tuition, all those other things. Those happening, but we happy dance. You know, we dance fast because we have to do more. We have to do more. It's an opportunity for a new way to do.
Wow.
January 1 is a big day. You know, in Puerto Rico, they go to the water on New Year's Eve, and they come back and don't look back. They cleanse themselves of whatever's there, and then they come out of the water and they don't look back, and they say, "God, here I am for another day. Let's do this. Let's do this. I look forward from this point forward." With the richness, with what I've learned, with the treasures that are in me, I learn and then I move on. So that toolbox is full. We're ready to do more stuff.
I love it, by the way. You know, it leads to a question we get to ask when we have time, and we have some time now, which is really cool. And that question is, what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given? And I'll frame it for the audience and let them know you've read probably countless books. I'm not sure you can remember how many books you read these days. You watched probably more videos than you probably care to remember as well. Had lots of mentors, worked on a lot of projects. But if you had to say, you know, Shay, here's some advice that was given to me that's near and dear to my heart that I want to pass on to the audience. What is that advice and why?
The best advice I got was to breathe. Stop thinking about what's going to work, what's not going to work. I'm going to be in trouble, blah, 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 and then do what a mechanic does when he's working on a car. He opens the lid. Something's not right. He starts tinkering and figuring out what that problem is. And he has to do it in a methodical way to get it running right again. Breathing is major. Mindfulness is major. We look at what the new opportunity that comes from that setback, and we try to adjust. Some are very painful. The loss of a family member, that's painful. You know, we've all gone through that. Illness, what do? We grieve, but then we get the right doctor that's going to fix it. We pull in the experts. We're not here alone, so we find out what we need to do to move forward. That makes sense?
Makes perfectly good sense. What do you enjoy most about what you're doing these days? You seem to really, I can hear it in your voice, even when we first came on, the excitement, helping people discover who they are so they can have a larger contribution to the world and give back. And I'm just curious, what do you enjoy most about what you're doing these days?
I like the energy that comes through me when I do this. When I've scheduled a session with someone, and sometimes the issue is, spelled out for me. Sometimes I just have to ascertain what's going on, and then letting spirit come through me, and I speak, and we have a dialogue, and we have an enlightened dialogue because we call in whoever needs to help us in the process to do that. And I come back just about every session I have, um, feeling fed, being happy with the energy that's come through me.
Wow.
Sometimes it's heavy stuff that, as I say, people are grieving and things like that, and that's tough. But mostly I feel like I have found my purpose at this time in my life, and I'm grateful.
And it's much needed as well, allowing folks to go deeper. Now, you mentioned the word mindfulness, and to some people, they might be wondering it means different things, Shay. When she mentioned mindfulness, what's her definition of it, and why was that so important?
So I'm into interfaith studies now, and we had a session last night on Buddhism, and they talked about how mindfulness means so many different things, and it means so many different things, but it's a word that can be used in different kinds of faith walks with folks. And that's basically to get quiet and understand who I am, understand that I was brought here for a purpose, and that I do not walk alone. I stand on the shoulders of my ancestors. I am here to do important stuff, and for whatever time I have, I'm to do that. So I breathe and I get centered, and then I move from there. Mindfulness cannot exist with chaos, with agitation, with anxiety. If we get those out and breathe and find processes that help us do that. I'm not into yoga, but I know how to get quiet if I need to. Music does it for me, and then I get to what it is I need to do to get the engines moving to what I need to do for the next day that has been given me.
You're so sincere. You're so authentic. I love this conversation. What do you do for fun these days when you're not out saving the world, changing lives? Like, what do you do for fun?
I dance. So I'm living in Florida now, and I moved from DC, but I work with folks all over the world. But here I can find Latin dance. I can find anything I want. I can find a class any kind of day of the week that I want, all kinds of different varieties. And I go to the beach, and I get centered with the water. And, and then I work in several communities here that help, we're people of diverse backgrounds, to do some uplift and encouragement and development for the children and educational opportunities. So that's fun for me. I just got signed up today to take tickets at a luncheon that's going to raise money for programs for kids. That's fun.
Always giving, always giving, always giving. As we come down the home stretch, two-part questions we close out. Number one, what type of clients is your firm looking to work with these days, if any? And number two, how can folks best connect with you that are watching? If they want to stay in this conversation over and beyond the time that you and I have right now, how should they reach out to you?
They can email me or they can reach me on Facebook, facebook.com/Iya Rosa. Iya is the name for a priest in the Afro-Cuban traditions, in the African tradition. So Iya Rosa, you can email me at Rosa at, I'm sure you have something that you can put on the screen for them.
Yes, we will.
Rosa at gmail.com. And my other email is just rosa at grillo.info. Just go
Well,
on Facebook and Iya Rosa.
Love it. Well, let me say thanks so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. Can't wait to be in Florida, hang out with you, do a little salsa dance,
Come
not salsa, a little
on.
1-2 step.
Come on down.
All
I
right.
would love it. I would love it, and so glad to spend some time with you again. It's been a while. Let's not make it so long next time.
I agree 100%. It's an honor and a privilege, a treat and a treasure to be on this side, by the way, with you. So for those folks that are watching, let me say thank you so much for being here on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. We appreciate it. The one thing we know right now is you're watching is that you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. And you're getting us the most precious gift you have, so we appreciate it. And we wouldn't have a show without you. And I never get tired of reminding you every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that you're amazing, that you're incredible, that you're a special, unique. And I know it sounds hokey dokey and fluffy, but it's so true. And that no matter what's going on in your life, whether you're doing really well and there's another level to get to, or life's hit you with the punch you never saw coming. Here's what I do believe. Today is your January 1st. And because of just that one reason, I believe your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, we out. Peace, Rosa. Thank you all. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
God bless.
It was a pleasure. See ya.
Peace.